Thank you so much. Saai is a network structure for family farmers working to keep the smaller and medium-sized producers on their land. From the farmer side, a very big thank you to AfriForum for the work they are doing on this phenomenon of farm attacks and farm murders. No one puts more capacity and more resources, spend more time on this issue in the world than AfriForum today. And that's why it is such a privilege to partner up with you to fight this phenomenon. There is an increased awareness across the globe of this phenomenon. For the first time, we see rather regular reporting on it in the foreign media too. Over the last week, we had at least 3 articles in prominent British newspapers on it. We have an increased liaison on their request with embassies in South Africa who ask about this kind of statistics and who ask about the interaction between farmers and government on how to address this issue. We also have an increase in the discussions with farmers' organizations elsewhere in the world. Only last night, I've spent a few hours with the National Farmers Union in the United Kingdom on this issue. And then, of course, it's very important for us that with this increased awareness, we also see increased pressure on government to do something about it. We are really excited about the kind of debates which surfaced in Parliament in the last week or so, where a number of opposition parties launched initiatives to hold government responsible and accountable for how to deal with farm attacks and farm murders. So what should be done about it? We love the plan which AfriForum has put out, this 10-point plan which Ernst alluded to. And I'm not going to repeat that plan. What I do want to emphasize is nothing can happen from government side until such a time as they recognize that we have a problem. This is not a challenge. This is a crisis. Government must recognize this phenomenon and the uniqueness of it. Without them doing so, it is impossible to embark on the rest of that plan. The sooner we have an independent commission of inquiry, not only on the origins of this crisis, but also on the ethos in which this is playing off in our country, and until such time as we have proper scientific data and evidence available, it will be very hard to do something about it. This is not only the police's job. We really need a multi-departmental approach to combating this phenomenon. But until then, it's no use to wait for government to come to the table. Farmers must make sure that they are armed and that their firearms are well maintained. There is nothing more effective at this stage than fighting back. Farmers must make sure that not only themselves, but also their wives and the rest of their families know how to fight back. Farmers must organize themselves. We have a very close-knit network of farm guards, farm patrols, farm watches across the country. And we communicate with them and they communicate amongst each other. But we need more of that. Farmers must get involved in those structures. And then we need farmers to join larger initiatives, such as that of ourselves and Saai, of AfriForum, and of other agricultural unions who are working on this. The most common question we get, both from local media, more and more from the English-speaking media, which of course we welcome, because this is why the world didn't know about it. The English-speaking media have really neglected this topic up to now. And from foreign media, is what makes these crimes so special? Aren't there more murders on the Cape Flats and in deep rural areas? Yes, if you count the numbers, there are. What makes these attacks so special is that no one calls for the murder of gangsters on the Cape Flats, like we see politicians calling for this. You cannot sing, kill the farmer, kill the boer, and when it happens out there, turn your back on it as you've had nothing to do with it. And then the nature of these attacks. It's nowhere close as brutal, accompanied by the kind of torture which you have seen something in this video clip. And it's much worse very often. This is not happening in murders in other deep rural villages or in the Cape Flats amongst gangsters. And then after these attacks, you do not have this applause on social media calling for more of it, with no consequences at all. There is no explanation why the authorities could up to now not act against this creation of an ethos in which farm attacks seems to be approved, like we have seen it on social media. There's no reason why the police could not ensure that there's consequences for that. And we desperately need some follow-up on the perpetrators, especially on Twitter and on Facebook. Having said that, farmers must know that pushing government to do more about it is still a long way out. You have seen the reaction of the ruling party in the debates in Parliament over the last week or so. They do not seem to be keen to even reject this or recognize this. So for now, we are on our own. You must take responsibility for the safety and security on your own farm. You must take responsibility for safety and security in your neighborhood. You must help each other amongst neighbors. Everybody who farm in the same area must make sure that they have proper communication between each other. And you must take hands with the private security sector and with similar structures in towns and cities. Because for now, where government fails, we have to fill in and do it for ourselves. There's no alternative. This is really a matter of life and death.